So we leave the showing, and my best friend looks at me, and she's like, go to your office, write that contract, and you will get this home for us. Literally put the fear of God in me.
I'd be like, okay, I'm sweating bullets over here. But
Right.
all right.
And so we know that private listings are so crucial in our market.
Right.
And we also know that not a lot of people understand how we utilize the private market and what it can do for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a lot of conflicting opinions about whether or not to use the private market for your clients.
Right.
And people are in two minds about it. So what are some of your thoughts?
I have some very strong opinions on the private network. And we just did a panel on this in the office where I changed some of my opinions. I always thought of the private network as a tool to use with sellers in specific situations, right? Like we had a listing earlier this year that was in a high rise going through some non-warrantable issues, right? And basically what that means for people that don't know about non-warrantable status is that the loan's not going to be able to be sold to Fannie or Freddie. And so getting a loan in that building is going to be very hard to do. So what we did was we put it on the private network until all those issues were taken care of. Then we can go public with it. But if we got a cash offer on the private network,
then it didn't matter.
Right. My client was fine with that. You know, at a certain price, it's like, okay, let's just do it because we don't know when this is going to be able to be put back on the market.
Right. And you're not losing market time.
Right.
By
you're not accruing market time.
Yeah. So it doesn't tell a story about what is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. And, you know, other times to use it, if you're not quite ready to go live with it, then maybe just put it out there to get some interest, right? But my issue with the private network is if you do sell it in the private listing status, you know, if your seller's fine with what they get for it, that's great. But I'm a big proponent of just going public with pretty much every listing if you can. That is in my opinion, is going to garner the best price, right? But if you get something really good on private, you can use that as leverage to say like, hey, we want this, this, and this if you're going to buy this.
Yeah. Put this on a silver platter for me.
Yes.
If you can come to me with this
right.
wrapped up with
no contingencies.
With a pretty bow, then my seller will consider accepting your offer off market.
Right. But going forward, I would like to treat it more as, hey, coming soon, right? And get a list of people interested and build up that momentum.
That's what I like to do.
Right. Or maybe if you're showing it to a few people pre-market, you know, say, hey, we're going to look at all the offers on this date.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you send something in early, just be aware that we're not going to respond to it until this date.
Yeah. I always like to be very clear on the private network description that we are going to market on this date and all showings will be held until we go to market. But use this information to give to your clients. Let's generate excitement. Mm-hmm. Let's put it in their inbox so that they can think about it. Unless, of course, they're beating down your door to get in which case, then you can talk to your seller about how to proceed.
Yeah. I mean, the most important thing here is to always make sure that your client is aware of every possible scenario or going down different routes, right?
We could accept it at this price with these terms, but if we waited and went live, you could possibly get, you know, X amount more for your sale.
I mean, real estate is worth what people are willing to pay for it, right?
Yep.
And to get the best price, you want to give it the most exposure possible, which means going public with it, in my opinion. And that's just basic economics. And that's my argument with a lot of people that say like, well, we have this 3-step system that, you know, we do with private network and stuff. And it's like, great. If you sell it on a private network, even if it's more than the price that you had listed it at, you're never going to know if you could have sold it for more.
Right. Well, I like to do it to test pricing as well. Mm-hmm. And the one thing to consider is that when you're on the private network and you put it out for a price that you've comped out, you feel pretty good about it. What I say to my sellers is if we get crickets, if no one is reaching out, then that might be an indicator that we're priced a little too high.
Right.
And that when we go live on the public MLS, we need to adjust slightly.
And the inverse too, where
conversely, yes,
if we
exactly.
get a ton of interest,
if we get
and
so
some
much
offers,
yes, then we know that we're priced appropriately and
or low,
or too low,
right.
and we need to increase once we go public.
Yeah.
And so I like to do that so that it gives my clients the option of, you know, not only this is my recommended list price for you, but this is the level of interest we're getting at this price.
Right.
But it's also important to remind everybody that not all realtors that have access to the MLS are proactively searching for private listings for their client.
Correct.
If we're paying for access to the MLS, why not utilize all of it?
Right.
And so not everybody does that. And
not everyone has access to TAN, the Top Agent Network.
Agent Network,
right?
which is a membership that we're a part of, which I always tell my clients this is a huge tool that we
Right.
should use. Whether or not I'm the listing agent and I'm putting a listing that's coming soon, or they're looking for something really specific.
Right.
And it's a matchmaking service that helps get what they want, you know, before they have to compete with 3 million other eyeballs.
Right. And what about on the buy side then? So let's flip to the buyer side, because lately we've been utilizing the private network and just off-market properties in general, right? To like find stuff for our clients and for myself even.
Yeah.
Right. Lately, we've been looking into other avenues because the inventory is so low. Like, what can we do to find something and get ahead of the market, because we're just not finding what we want. And so something that I've been doing for my personal search is just sending out letters to homeowners
Right.
that have the type of property we're looking for, the size of the yard we want, and the number of bedrooms we want, and that haven't sold, you know, in the last like 5-7 years or so, right?
Right.
So we send those out, and I've gotten some responses back. I've had some people reach out and say like, hey, you know, I'm somewhat interested. We're doing this right now, whatever. But I might be the first and only person to look at that property.
Right.
And I do that for my clients too, but you have to know specifically exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It helps if it's like a high-rise building, right? If you're like, I want to be in this building, get me in this building, right?
Right.
I was like, fine, I'll send out a letter or postcard to everybody in that building. And I'll try to find something before they even go to the private network.
Yeah. I just think that's, you know, an added level of customer service
Yeah.
and, you know, showing them our motivation to get them into the house that they want.
The same thing with like, you know, the network we have amongst other agents, right? We've been in this industry a long time. We know a lot of the top agents throughout the Chicago area. If we haven't worked with them, then we know who they are. And, you know, one client I'm working with right now is looking in a specific building, and I have a friend that does a lot of business in that building. And I said, hey, do you have anyone that wants to maybe sell in this tier? Because this is the tier we are looking for, right? And he was able to reach out to a couple people and send me some contact information, which is great. And again, just another way to kind of, where can we find that inventory? Because we're not just going to wait for the public. Anyone can do that, right? Our clients can do that.
Right.
And a lot of times they do send us the places on the public network, but we are expanding their search.
Yeah. And if you wait for it to hit the public market, you oftentimes could be too late.
I mean, the hardest time to find a property is in the spring on the public market.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The best time to find a property,
Q4.
on the
private network.
private network or off market properties, right? You're going to have the least amount of competition. And even this one, we just put one under contract, a condo on the Southport corridor, private network, 4 offers. We had multiple offers for the buyer. We represented the buyer
So you were in a multiple offer situation on the private
on
network.
the private network in the fall. You know, if that place came on the market in the spring, we might be seeing 5 to 10 offers on the public network, right? Or public market, I should say. But less competition now. I said, hey, do this, this, and this. The clients listened to everything I said, and we got the property,
Yep.
right? And I don't think we gave up too much on our side. You have to be flexible, but you also don't want to just like say, we'll buy it at any price and no contingencies, right? And like, well, now you're in,
Right.
you get yourself in some trouble with a place that maybe you shouldn't be, you know, going that deep with if it's something's really wrong with it, right?
Right.
But, you know, we have been using it a lot lately on the buy side. It's just been super beneficial.
It's a great tool. Okay, so one of the most memorable private market stories that I have is actually a personal memory too, because I was working with my best friend from high school. So I've known her 20 plus years at this point. And she knew that I was trying to go to every length possible to help her and her husband and their brand new baby find a home to buy for the very first time. And we kept striking out on the public network. You know, we would submit offers and things were just bonkers for one reason or another, or it wasn't the right home. So we find a great duplex in Lincoln Park, right where they wanted to be, turnkey, the perfect amount of space, all of the things. We go through the showing, and it takes all of 10 minutes for my best friend and her husband to say, yes, we want this place. But because of the strife that they had gone through and the roller coasters of all of the other offers we had submitted, it had basically put them in this headspace where they were chomping at the bit. So we leave the showing, and my best friend looks at me and she's like, go to your office, write that contract, and you will get this home for us. Literally put the fear of God in me.
I'd be like, okay, I'm sweating bullets over here. But
right.
all right.
And I knew she was serious. I
Yeah.
could tell. I could tell that they loved it, and I wanted it for them.
Right.
So I'm really, really motivated. I get in my car, and I am in this headspace where I have got to get this done for her. I reverse out of the parking lot, hit a pole because I am trying to get to my office that quickly, and write up the contract for him.
Yes.
Anyway, that not one of my proudest moments, but it just kind of goes to show that, you know, when you find something that's right and no one else has seen it and it's yours for the taking, you have to strike.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting it for them, and they were there for many happy years before they moved on. So I felt like I did my job, but my bumper had
It's
to
worth it. I'm willing to make some sacrifices if it
Yeah.
gets the deal done.
yeah,
Anytime.
my bumper
Anytime.
suffered as a result, but my friend got the house that she wanted, and we were able to get it before anybody else saw it. So I was really happy about that.
Very happy ending.
Yeah.